Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Around Your Roots. This is episode 4. This is your boy Bird, and I'm always accompanied by Saskia. How you doing today, Saskia?
You know what? I'm doing really great. I just had an amazing meeting with some of um, the most awesome friends I have, doing, transformative justice work, and it just totally uplifted my spirit. So I am doing amazingly well. It's always great to be in communion and have community. So, yeah, I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm okay, man. Just getting getting readjusted to life becoming normal again. People, out and about, trying to become a human again. I guess. And just taking care of my plants.
Oh, yeah.
I I I had a little clone drop recently, just for trying to help a couple of my friends that been wanting to start but just don't know the beginning stages and stuff like that. So my garden is pretty stagnant right now. I'm still waiting to transplant and all that good stuff.
That is amazing. It's been raining heavy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, my plants are loving this rain. Like, they've just been like, yay, and like for me, it's just like, you're happy, I'm happy, like it's less, less care on my behalf having to water them and everything. But just been, really happy to seeing them flourish and grow and, doing their thing. But how have your plants responded to this weather?
Well, as far as my outdoor, because I do grow vegetables, it's
Hmm.
been pretty busy for me. So I haven't been able to go to the garden.
Hmm.
But luckily, Mother Nature has been holding me down with these rains and perfect weather, lots of
Right?
sunshine and wind. So I'm expecting. The last time I was there, I seen the beginning stages of some tomatoes forming. So I'm pretty sure when I go back, probably tomorrow morning, it'll I'll be seeing some nice red tomatoes and some nice yellow tomatoes.
Nice. That's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
exactly what you want to see. I saw one of my plants, they started to have some tomatoes. I have like three tomatoes plants growing, and one of them has started to grow tomatoes. So I'm really excited. I haven't checked today to see, how they're doing. But I'm excited to see, like how they're going, And last year when I tried to grow my tomatoes, oh my goodness, just the amount of water that they take.
Hmm.
And learning that, learning like this is a different plant and how much water this one takes. And so unfortunately my tomatoes did not make it last year because I was not watering them enough. Um, and it was a real lesson, doing that too for me because one of the things I love about gardening is just like the connection to the land and processing, like, how much are you watering yourself, and understanding individualism. And yeah, so this year I'm doing much better, and yeah, shout out to Mother Nature, because the rain has been covering me. So much appreciated.
Definitely. And yeah, as far as that, it's just one of those things you can come to and just like basically decompress. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, so his stuff hasn't gone normal, so it's good to have like a medium that you can go to and sort of like a therapy session with your plants.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. Exactly how it is. And I do love being with my cannabis plants because those moments they just feel so special. I think for me, like the watering of them, I water them a whole lot slower. Like I really let them take their time drinking,
Right.
and really, really, just slowing down, versus like my, my vegetables and my flowers and everything. And I'm like, here you go, here's your water for today, and did you drink it? I might be able to catch you, later on and, give you some more, but when I sit with my cannabis plants, I sit in intention and, really, take the time to make sure that they're getting the water that they need. And, it's not too much water. And that's a whole process, right? You do not overwater your plants. Like,
Right.
that's what you don't want to do. So, yeah, paying attention to how you're watering your plants and how that process goes. And I think for people, the more experience you have, you'll know how much water. But for me, it's like very much, a learning process because every strain is different and what they need is different. And there's so many strains to learn. And, at every phase that they're growing. So yeah, just watering the plants. That's a whole a whole learning lesson right there. Like watering the plants.
All right. So what's been going on this week? What kind of updates we got for the people today?
Oh my goodness. You know what? It has been crazy out here in these streets. I'm like, are people paying attention? It feels a little bit calmer, but on a state level, we had so many, exciting things in the beginning of the year, and we're in July, and I am sad. I'm really, really sad that we are in July, and there was some amazing bills. If people don't know, there was some amazing bills that could have like really transformed our state and really answered a lot of the things that people have been demanding, right? Like actually demanding for. One of them, it was like a transparency campaign that was put together by Act on Mass. And this was so that this transparency campaign was so that there was transparency from our state, the meetings and the commerce and what our state reps are actually saying behind closed doors on bills and the conversations that they're having. And so it's like they're telling you that they support it, but what are they saying behind closed doors? What is the issue and actually, supporting an issue? And this really is huge, for us, like in the cannabis industry, because on a municipal level, like we just have headlines popping up. It feels like at least a couple of times a year, like just headlines popping up. Municipal corruption going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, we need transparency with this new industry in this state, not so new anymore, 4 years in. We need transparency from our government with this industry forming. So for me, I was paying attention, we supported, we encouraged, all of our audience and our members to show solidarity because we know how important transparency is. I mean, at MRCC, like our history, the CCC, the Cannabis Control Commission, when they first started, they were not live streaming their public meetings. It was not being streamed. And it was our co-founders who were at these meetings and live streaming them. And now that's been adopted into a normalcy where, the CCC is now live streaming their meetings. But this is only because there were people saying, hey, this needs to be provided as a service because there's a whole bunch of people that need to know what's going on, that deserve to have access to the knowledge of the decision-making that's going on in this room, and need to be connected, directly connected in a very transparent way. And so to see like that be put forth and how it's spread so many wings and how so many other people now are able to benefit off of that fight, where we now have multiple people like live streaming the CCC meetings, which is beautiful because you want as many people amplifying that information. That's a
Right.
beautiful thing, to keep disseminating the information out and making sure as many people are educated and know what's going on in the industry. My one of my favorite lines is like, you guys, it's a cooperation, it's not a competition. So if everybody was out here really caring about transparency and knowing what's going on, that's a beautiful thing. So for
Right.
us at MRCC, this is like we're championing, everybody, but and full acknowledgement, shout out to our co-founders, for pushing that, and thank you for adopting that and pushing that, because now it's a normalcy that people have whole businesses off of. Like, there's whole businesses off of live streaming a CCC meeting, and to see that sort of news, that sort of format of news being transparent to the community and providing that transparency, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, shout out, to everybody that's out there, making sure the public knows. It's much appreciated, and, covering, all the things that the CCC is doing, because as I'm talking to people, as much as awareness is done, there's still a lot of awareness that needs to be done. There's a lot of people, as we know, around the roots, like there's a lot of people not tuning in, not listening. So the education can never be too much. And then besides that, like on a state level, and just disappointing, like we also had decriminalize all drugs. We're in July now. The decriminalize all drugs bill has like fallen flat. I don't believe it's going to pass this legislative session. So we're looking to have to do another campaign, and really examining, I think for us is like really examining what were the roadblocks and what is it going to take. And these are community conversations that have to be had. I think there's a lot more conversation that needs to be had around the decriminalization of all drugs, because as we have decriminalized cannabis and we have legalized cannabis, this industry has successfully insulated itself away from acknowledging the racism in of how this whole industry was made illegal. Like Massachusetts, like it is white led, and all of them need anti-racism education. And so for us at MRCC, like that's what we're providing. That's what we're focused on, because this is one of the most, for me and my experience, I can absolutely say, in working in multiple industries, the cannabis industry here in Massachusetts is the most racist industry that I have encountered. It is in top two, like maybe one other industry. This is one of the most racist industries I've ever encountered and working in. And I've worked across multiple industries, and we're in a time where there's a lot more knowledge out, and we're in a different tempo, so to say that in comparison to working someplace, 10 years ago, that's a pretty strong statement, and it's like, in looking back in 10 years ago, they didn't have the access to information. It wasn't as easily shared. It wasn't like obvious knowledge on the street. So when you see just like obvious, like ignorance, like willful ignorance at this point, that's how I see it. This is willful ignorance at this point. And willful ignorance is a form of violence. Like there's no need to be so ignorant out here. And not only that, it is deeply concerning for me, because as a state, if this is the direction we're going in, our industry is in deep trouble, and we're losing money by the second. Like a diverse industry only increases it only makes your business more profitable. It only increases your bottom lines. So really understanding this is imperative for our businesses. So,
Right.
I'm really, really passionate about that part, because I really do care about our industry and wanting it to be, comparable. Like, I'm like, come on, you come into, me, I'm like, this is Boss Town.
Mhm.
you in Boss Town now. They want to call it Bean Town. That's what they can call it. This Boss Town, homie. You welcome to the town of bosses. So and moving like that. But we are co-op, so that's our language. That's our lingo. That's we own our labor, fully own our labor. And so yeah, so I think that there just needs to be a lot more work done in that area. And the more that we start doing that work sincerely and not trying to compromise, because I see people compromising and believing that they have to compromise. It breaks my heart, to just be okay with that. This is yours and this is what you want to do, and that's okay. And that's not what this is. This is anti-racism work. And so this is going to move like anti-racism work. And anti-racism work moves different than trying to say, hey, I took a workshop and I put up a black tile and now I'm anti-racist. It's like, y'all, that's funny, like that. Like that's laughable, because that's all it can be in the face of disrespect is laughed at, because it's disrespectful. So that's all I can do is really just, laugh at it because this is just obvious, ignorance at this point. And you just don't want to really go down the rabbit hole of entertaining it. Like you have to stand firm and know, especially as an educator, like, your information, your education, where you come from. And if people don't want to do the work, that's a different answer, so really just examining, Massachusetts and where we're at and understanding how imperative, getting this information, getting this education and being held accountable, is important. It's extremely important. And then speaking on the racism, like on a municipal level in Massachusetts, we have a campaign that we're about to kick off next week. And this one was brought about by the one and only, city of Cambridge, which is where I got my start from with the social equity. And through my pushing and MRCC's pushing, we passed the historical bill for the social equity ordinance policy that we have that creates a priority period. I literally worked with my mayor and a couple of my city councilors line by line on that. So really, really, proud of that. But we one of my counselors, Counselor Simmons, introduced a policy for reparations. And this was really interesting. The language and the way it's written is really, really interesting. And it's going to allow, the way it's currently written, money to go towards economic empowerment applicants. So it begs the question of, and the money for reparations is coming from cannabis tax revenue. And it begs the question, not only is like, what is reparations, but it also begs the question of why are economic empowerment applicants receiving reparations? Like, why are economic empowerment applicants receiving reparations? Who thought that was a genius idea? And, really knowing that who's in the economic empowerment program. And at this point, I just, I always, when I get frustrated, I always believe this is a lack of education. And so this is what happens. And, for anybody that's listening, and across as an industry unfolds, when there is only money put towards social equity and there's no money put towards education, then you're going to end up with a white-led industry, especially an industry that was formed out of racism, right? This is a whole industry whose legalization is occurring because the illegalization of it was adopted out of, white supremacy, out of racism. So, in looking at that and examining, this reparations and economic empowerment, it's just like, oh my goodness, they're about to give white people reparations. Who, like, oh my God. And then there was a study that it's based off of, which was used as an excuse. And that study was put together by Revolutionary Clinics. And Revolutionary Clinics has sued the city of Cambridge 3 times based off of reverse racism. So to see that study to be used as the basis for why this reparations fund is, and Revolutionary Clinics is not Black owned. They are not social equity applicants. It's nothing at all. So, it's great. White people want to put towards reparations. That's what you're supposed to do. Patreon.com/MA consumers, we have 2 different tiers. If you have a business, to donate and make reoccurring payments, as an individual, you can pick your tier. This is the work that you're supposed to be doing. So, that's to be really, really clear with that. But to see that, to be occurring for Revolutionary Clinics to be insidiously lobbying on a local level for money to be going towards economic empowerment applicants, and the CCC putting zero money towards municipal education on what is the economic empowerment program? What is the social equity program? Who is in these programs, right? Because overwhelmingly, there's a lot of white people in these programs. There's just a lot of people in these programs, that come through cohort after cohort of the social equity program. It's a lot of white people in these programs. So it is a misconception that needs to end immediately, that there are, social equity, economic empowerment is a program for Black and brown people. It is not. Right. I think that, to the point, I think that we need to, like, next week be like, economic empowerment, just doing I think we need an educational book on it, just this is not, and explain and break down who is in it. That this is a program for everyone. You could be a woman, you could be a veteran, you could be disabled. It is a program. The social equity program is for everyone, you guys. It is for everyone. It is designed to be inclusive. So you just have to be poor, really, and live in certain areas. And you're going to qualify. And so this, that has to be, explained and really, really fleshed out to help educate. And educate on a municipal level as well, too. So really things that we're thinking about here at MRCC, with our lobbying team, thinking that through and really how to approach our municipalities, because this being dropped and the education not occurring doesn't mean the education cannot occur. The education still has to occur. People are trying to enter this industry. And I mean, can you imagine as a Black man going into, central Massachusetts, anywhere in Massachusetts, okay? Let's be real, like anywhere in Massachusetts, right? As a Black person going anywhere and trying to get a cannabis business, like if you listen to Black people trying to get these licenses, you will hear the horror stories. Like there is some serious horror stories going on. Woo, child. Like, oh my goodness, the things that's occurring is just like, I am just aghast, but this is where we're at right now. We're at a place where in Cambridge, we are leading a municipal campaign for reparations. There is nobody else, no other organization doing the work that MRCC is doing. So it puts us in a very special place where we need to be there and support and on behalf of our Black and brown communities. And that's really, really what's important, like really, really being there and being in solidarity and allowing them to have the space to, raise their voices up. That's really, really what's important. Like raising their voices up. So for Cambridge, we're going to be having meetings on Monday night. We're asking our cannabis community to actually stand down. It is not the cannabis community's place to come into the city of Cambridge and to be having conversations on reparations. Even though Revolutionary Clinics is trying to influence this conversation, do not follow their lead. That is not the tone nor the energy that should be occurring at all whatsoever. This is a conversation for Black residents in Cambridge. And after we go through this process, we will talk to other Black people in other municipalities and educate them so that this is led by Black people within their own towns and cities across the state of Massachusetts. It's not for us to be leading this in any other town, period. It's just, Cambridge, we're here. So in Boston, if Boston's ready to have that conversation and they want to have that conversation started, we will educate them. We will teach, and any other town, where there are Black people reside, we are here. We are here in solidarity. We understand that you want systemic change. We understand people are tired of crying, of the trauma, of the deaths, of the abuse, of the ignorance and mistreatment towards us. And so we're moving in solidarity. We know change can't wait. And so we're going to do good work, but it's a conversation that needs to be had, and we have to listen. We have to really, really listen. And so these meetings will be open to all residents, all Cambridge residents, and really to give them the space to process what does reparations mean for them. Because I think that is a very interesting, question. And I think everybody has a different answer to that. And I think that's valid, so we need to listen and hear how do people define reparations, for themselves. Because at this point we are, again, a failed state. We are living in a failed state. It's a failed state because they promised us 40 acres and a mule. We never got it. And we've been, systemically killed off, since then. So I think that we have to really examine, what does reparations mean to us today, and define that, and then give that to the city and stand and say, this is where we stand on this conversation. We have defined it for ourselves, and this is how it looks for us. And, that can look very different. In Cambridge, it can look very different than, out in Western Massachusetts, and Black communities out there, and how they choose to define reparations in regards to the local history in the town. So it's a very, very, community-led conversation. And for us at MRCC, this is our wheelhouse, our specialty. We're the ones who successfully fought for there to even be an equity program in the state of Massachusetts, so again, shout out to our co-founders. You guys are fucking amazing. Totally love you guys. And yeah, and that's the biggest news. I think that's enough for us for lobbying news. We got some state, we got some local, there's a lot more news going on. But I think that's pretty much it for, lobbying. I think that, and a lot of failed bills, honestly, that don't look like they're going to get passed. And if you're the social equity fund bill, I am sad. It is, we're July 9th. It still hasn't passed. I've hit up our state senators for the likelihood of it passing this year. Really just pushing them, so my social equity applicants, I know that you guys are out there struggling. I hear you guys, I see you guys. I know you guys are out there struggling, and I am pushing them. But you guys need to organize, and you need to make calls too. And you need to call your senators, and you need to call your reps. Because that money is you guys say you need money, then you need to hold the pockets accountable. The pockets are booming. Okay, we after the pandemic, we had I think like $700 million in access. Massachusetts, because we had done like deep cuts due to the pandemic, and the state was just really concerned. So there was a huge amount of access of like hundreds of millions of dollars. So there's no reason why we're not passing a social equity fund bill, unless this is a state that wants to be perceived as being inequitable. And if we hit a 5-year mark, without a doubt, with any social equity fund, this is a state that will be labeled racist. It is a state where inequity is willingly perpetuated. I don't want that to be perceived on our industry. I don't want that to be perceived for our new commissioners that we have, who have not been here since the beginning and are dealing now with like the aftermath of everything. And I don't want that for, our senators and our representatives. Like, I feel like, our state officials have the capacity to get the bill passed and really uphold that the progressiveness that they want this state to be perceived as. It's like, you got to walk the walk. Like, we're living in a day and age where what's going on here is seen around the globe. Like, there's no hiding things anymore. So if you don't pass something, that news makes it from here all the way to California. And that's just the way it is. This is a forming industry, and people are coming from all across the country. We have MSOs. They want to know, like, what's the regulations? What do we have, in comparison to other states? And so when it's discovered there's no social equity fund, when they hear that, there's a huge like look, on their face, like, huh? Like a huge question mark. How do you have an industry that's made over $1 billion, but you don't have a social equity fund? It's really, really weird. So I'm hoping they pass it, and, just been emailing them. And really, I'm looking forward to seeing like the grants going out. That was such a hard fight for us at MRCC. We were the only ones who lobbied for it. And we had to lobby for it alone. And it was just really sad. A lot of people, with license applications just felt like they could settle for loans. And for us, we was just like, that's too predatory because loans are debt. They're not equity. Hate to tell you guys, but I need people to be more educated in the business sense, and understanding equity. And equity is this is our wheelhouse at MRCC. So there's no way we was going to be allowing them to define loans as grants. Loans as equity. And really just seeing the money getting out there and seeing how it'll allow people to move forward in their license process and hopefully get some doors open, because it is really, really sad out here. But besides that, they get their doors open, but is the weed still going to be trash? And that's kind of why I want to see more doors open, because again, as the consumers, like, how do you feel about like the quality of weed? I have medical patients coming up to me telling me that like, the weed is of such poor quality that it doesn't even deal with their medical issues, and they need other support. They need home growers. Like, that's what my medical patients are telling me, that they need home growers, because these dispensaries, the weed here in our state is of such poor quality. It isn't satisfying. It does not meet their net medical needs. Not that it doesn't even satisfy them, it doesn't even meet. So this is like a huge health issue at this point. Like, you're talking about, like, there's harm occurring for people that have medical issues. And I'm deeply like that hurts my heart. Like, that makes me just cry, like, to see people finally fight and finally make it legal and celebrating the opening of doors. And then to celebrate the opening of doors and to be met with a product that is of such poor quality. It doesn't even do what it's advertised to do. And mind you, in any other industry, if you produced a product and you put it on a label that it does X, Y, and Z, and it fails to do that, your shit gets pulled from the shelves. Like that's false advertisement and it did not meet the requirements. So I think, yeah, like there's a whole lot more that this industry needs, you know, a whole, like the regulations and even as far as like the testing, you know, the testing of the cannabis that's going out, that I think that needs to be re-examined, because how can it be medical and we have patients that are saying this doesn't do anything. No, that's a red flag. So
Yeah, got a lot of a lot of a lot of stuff to do in this industry as it's coming together still after the 4 years. Um, we did get a question about community impact fee. If there's any other towns other than Northampton that waive the 3% community impact fee.
yeah, I think that you should go to the CCC's website. They just built a whole new website and it's updated. It has a
Yeah,
whole lot of things on that. And so what we're doing is we're really pushing people to the CCC for that information. You know, if you, us personally, that means you want a consultation. And what we found is that people struggle with paying consultations. We're experts at this, and our pricing is in reflection towards, you know, our expertise. And so, and like being, you know, being the only lobbying organization in the whole state, that makes on behalf of consumers. The fact that all of this stuff, like literally, like we've helped develop and write it out. You know, like this is a lot of stuff we've helped, and it could be better if we're listened to, you know. But that's part of lobbying, and it's part of, you know, doing the work and trying to get people to listen, you know, in positions of power. Ultimately, it's not our, you know, job. There's people that's hired for this, and this is their job. We're just here to like I try to explain, like MRCC is like a vessel. We listen to our consumers, we're listening to our growers, we're listening to the employees in this industry, we're listening to the people in our communities, we're listening to the people with records, we're listening to people who's experiencing racism, we're listening to people with disabilities, we're listening to everyone, you know, and in getting that all of this data and bringing it forward and presenting solutions towards, you know, the CCC. So, you know, in regards to if there are any other towns other than Northampton that waived the 3% community impact fee, I believe that's like, you know, a question that's really asked from people that's seeking a license. You know, so if you're seeking a license and you want to know that information, you should be filling out that form. Now, I also want to say, if you're a social equity applicant right now, we are taking feedback. We are taking feedback. We have a feedback form. We've put out in our newsletter. So if you got our newsletter, you have that link to fill out the form for feedback. We want you to be able to fill out that form and allow it to go directly from there to be able to communicate with the CCC. So that way there's testimonials occurring, that they can see where the issues are. This is written, documented information so that they have this. And it's just compiling information to present to the CCC. And, you know, definitely do that. And if you're not signed up for our newsletter, you know, on our Instagram page, we have our linked tree. Make sure to sign up. And then in there, you'll see like the latest newsletter. So you can go in there. Our newsletter is free. We put it out there to the public. And just go to our Instagram and go check it. And we did post it on our socials. So our newsletter is posted on our socials. You can go down Facebook wall. You're going to see, hey, check out our newsletter. You know, we tweeted it. So you can do those things and check it out that way too. But again, if you're a social equity applicant, you've gone through a cohort, you've already gone through the program, then please take the time, you know, to fill that out, because we know there's just so many issues and complaints, and we have a new commissioner that represents the seat of social equity, And so all of your feedback really, really matters. It's been a traumatizing past couple of years. And then you have somebody coming in fresh and new and is examining this and really wants to see and hear what's going on. Yes, Commissioner Nudis Camego. Beautiful, beautiful spirit. Really here doing good work. I've been talking with our commissioners and speaking with them and communicating with them about, the issues in our industry, and really encouraging them hotspot areas for them to prioritize and focus in on. There's a lot of work. You may come in here to this job with an idea saying, hey, I want to focus in on this. But then you get into the job and you're like, whoa, there's some other areas I didn't realize, so there's a lot of good work that's occurring with these commissioners. So I just want to say, shout out to them. Shout out to Commissioner Nudis. I see you have here Commissioner Ava Concession. Commissioner Concession actually represents public safety. And we have a lot of work to do in this area, right? Because we have decriminalized and we've legalized, and across the state of Massachusetts, every single municipality, the racial disparity has increased. It has increased for cannabis arrests. That means that Black people are being arrested at disproportionate higher rates than white people. And it's not like small. It's not like in some areas it's like 4%, but it goes up to 114 times higher. So again, these are the things that occur when you just say, yay, it's legal, and social equity, and there's a lack of funding into anti-racism education. And that needs to happen on a municipal level across all police departments to understand, plant education, consumer education. And then, I see you pulled up. We have Commissioner Bruce Stebbins, and I've been, pleasantly surprised. I really, really enjoy my conversations with Commissioner Stebbins. Awesome. He has a beautiful insight, on this industry, and really listening to the issues. His seat actually represents regulatory affairs. So this is, another person, and he has a background in the gaming industry. So this is a beautiful, I think, opportunity, right? Because in Massachusetts, we have a tendency to overregulate everything. And a lot of our growers are like, you are not regulating this properly. You are not regulating this properly at all. They are not happy with the regulation of this industry. And this is the opportunity for us to say with Commissioner Stebbins, this is the way it's designed. However, this is the way, if you want it to have these results, this is the way it needs to be structured. It needs to be structured like this. And our growers have the opportunity now with this new commissioner to really speak, and it's imperative. And he really, really cares about having an industry that's equitable and diverse. And he also really cares about, just regulatory, just like how the navigation of this, looking at the host community agreements, looking at that in that whole process. He really cares about these things. So I'm excited to have them. We're still missing one person on this board, and that person's seat represents, the seat for health. But with these three people, I'm really excited, way more than our previous commissioners, way more. There was always the infamous 4-1 votes occurring on the previous commission, where you just had the infamous, put down of four voting no. And then you had that one that would maybe abstain, or, not, to not vote, or to just,
right.
Opposite, yes. So it always was a 4-1 vote that was occurring. So I'm really glad to see more solidarity toward in this commissioners to really addressing like what and addressing by questioning, by being open-minded, right? To have that conversation, to not walk into these positions and say, I know everything and this is the way it's going to be. You know, that's such an entitled perspective to have. And if you walk into this industry, never, ever, ever consuming cannabis, growing cannabis, but never been a participant in the legacy market, then what do you really know about building a legal cannabis industry? Like, where's your years of experience in working in an industry? You have none, right? So you should be walking in open-minded when you come into these positions, because you're not there because of your experience with the plant, nor with consumers, nor with growers. That's not who's getting these jobs. You know, so there's a delicate balance in these jobs with respect towards people who have, you know, decades of experience, because this war on drugs is now in its 50th year. You know, so there's people who have decades of experience, and have a lot of knowledge to share, and that knowledge can be translated, you know, into our legal market, and just about defining how that looks. So it's exciting times. You know, I am definitely way more excited today than I was this time last year. You know, so I'm always excited when there's change, there's opportunity. And it's just about us, you know, keeping our good foot forward, you know, and pressing forward, and having a good time out here, you know, smoking some weed. You smoking something today, Barb?
Yeah, I went through a couple of things. But yeah, it's definitely opportunity to gain some momentum in the industry. Just to even have, you know, conversations with some of the CCC members, just their passion and wanting to learn is just very interesting, because you don't really see that a lot, where it's like people don't, at the end of the day, people don't know what it's like to live in our neighborhood. So it's like, it's refreshing to have somebody that is a part of our neighborhood, a part of the CCC.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side with Stebbins, just wanting to see where he's going to take this approach of, you know, trying to get more diversity into the industry. Because I did read that article from, I believe it was MJ Daily Weekly, I
Mm-hmm.
believe. Um, but basically, yeah, I'm just curious to see how the new CCC fares against the, you know, old chair holders.
Yeah, I have, you know, I think I have good feelings with them. You know, there's just a lot of there's good things can be done when the intention is set.
Right.
You know, put it that way. The good things can be done when the intention is set. So I'm hopeful. You know, you can only see. You never know with this government. You know, we see the state we're dealing in across this country. You never know, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. You know, so that's really really telling, because I don't really say that a lot about our government. I just don't at all. But I am hopeful with who we have, that there's going to be some good changes. You know, and you know, hopefully people will, you know, stop leaving Massachusetts to go get some good weed, because woo, do we have a reputation for some bad weed in the state. So embarrassing. Do better, y'all. Grow better weed out there. I am just embarrassed. Like, this whole country is just looking at us like, ew, but Massachusetts weed, like, ew. And it's just like, nah, you know, if you know some home growers, you lit, homie. You lit. Like, it's fire out here. Fire out here. You know, but these dispensaries, um
It just comes with more education.
I haven't had a dispensary weed that can match Bird's weed. How about that? I haven't had any cannabis from a dispensary that can match my coworkers' homegrown cannabis. You know, that's what we're talking about right here. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the home growers out there. We always love and appreciate you. You guys are amazing. The cannabis that you're growing is amazing. You be gifting. We love you. You know, keep growing, please. Keep gifting out there. There's so many people not getting the cannabis that they need. And it's y'all are out here being the angels, you know. As always, you know, just holding it down and making sure that, you know, this plant is grown and people can enjoy it, right? Because that's where the culture comes from. It's just like, this is supposed to be a plant to be celebrated, and, you know, smoked in celebration and in communion. And that definitely has been stripped since its legalization in Massachusetts. Like, that whole culture has been stripped out of it, and it's just so sad. So shout out to our home growers. Definitely appreciate y'all.
I mean, at the end of the day, when you're talking about a industry that's being built up, you have a lot of people that have capital but not education. So you have to. It's sad that that's how our society works, where somebody could have $1 million and get into any industry, but we really just have to do our work as best as possible to educate even the people that we feel are damaging the industry, because more than half the time they don't even realize what they're doing. And it's for people like us and, you know, MRCC to keep that knowledge going, because they really don't know what they're doing to their plants. Like you said, patients are complaining that the plants don't have the medicinal properties that it's supposed to have, and that's due to the regulations that's set with the plant. So
yeah,
it's a fine line of trying to regulate a plant and maintaining its you know, its originality, because there's a lot of sterilization going on with the regulations, and that's where the quote unquote trash weed comes from. Not understanding that weed is a living plant and is a living thing just like anything else. And once you sterilize it, it's like sterilizing your body. It's like you're not going to be alive. You know, it's not, you're not going to be able to produce anything. So it's just up to us and, you know, home growers and people that are passionate about this to keep that education going, and hopefully, you know, people that own MSOs and things of that nature will finally realize that they're doing more harm than good. Money comes and goes, you know, but if you destroy a plant, you know, that's going to be detrimental for lifetimes.
For lifetimes. Y'all heard that S on the end? Lifetimes, plural. Stop thinking time and concept of monetary value in immediacy. You know, start thinking 7 generations forward, because that's the type of issues that we're being confronted with in regards to this earth. And you see the weather that's going on, you know, across the country. So we need to get our minds right if we're really trying to grow this plant and allow this industry to be here for another 7 generations, you guys, because I don't know about you, but the way this earth is, the way we're treating things, it could be, I'll tell you what, it won't look like this in 7 generations because of the destruction that we are doing to our earth right now. So I don't understand how you can be growing plants and just be so predatory towards the earth. But you know that I guess I just can't relate to colonialism because, you know, this is just the foundation of this country, right? Like, it has stripped the land away from people. It has stripped the land away, and you know, being specific, stripped the land away from our Native Americans, has stripped the land away from African Americans, you know, and Black people, like intentionally, violently. This is what's been occurring across this country. So, you know, it's sad. It's just really, really sad. And to see that mentality being applied towards the cannabis plant, at some point, as a human being, when I don't understand, you can't smoke this plant, you can't consume this plant and not understand its magical properties. You know, you can come up with all the scientific explanations for it that you want, but when you consume this plant explains itself to you, and it is having a moment with you. And so many people have that have that relationship with their plants, you know. So,
And another thing too is like what the people that run MSOs and, you know, corporatized institutions don't realize is that eventually they're not going to be able to make any money in this industry. It's going to be just a quick little flip and then they're going to bankrupt instantly, because I believe it's Detroit. They basically were losing money. It was an article that was posted, but basically they were losing money because all the home growers were taking over the industry because nobody wanted the sterile weed that was that was coming out of the industry in Detroit. So they were going through like a whole hectic time because it's like they didn't understand that the product wasn't what it was. Like, it was literally a shell or a hull of what it used to be.
it did not give what it needed to give. You guys are not giving what you need to give. Like, you want $70 for an eighth, and it is like, this isn't, and that's not top, like your top shelf. If it was alcohol, it would be bottom shelf equivalent, and you want $70, right? For an eighth. Like, this is really like, and that's, you know, it could be $90. This is like deeply, you know, problematic, to say the least. So, just really, you know, be glad when there's an understanding that this industry, which is why MRCC exists, needs to be centered around the consumer. There is no profits without the consumer. I hope y'all heard that. All right. There is no profits without the consumer. If the consumer is not satisfied, that directly impacts your bottom line. You can have all these amazing things that you're doing in the community, and you can, you know, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, you know, but if your product sucks, you know, at the end of the day, and you're wondering why the numbers are, you know, you had that green rush, right? You opened your doors, you had your wave of customers, but then when those numbers start going lower, because your product isn't sustainable, my G, you know, it's not sustainable. A piss poor product is not sustainable. You know, you're making and this is why we call it. It's just Walmart weed, you know, Walmart weed. So if you want Walmart weed, you know, don't think people are gonna be paying. You know, ain't nobody paying, you know, top shelf prices for it. That's Walmart weed. You gonna get paid a Walmart price for your Walmart weed. You know, and you can't screw over consumers. There's a lot of consumers, you know, that's going there because it's convenient and they're happy to have something that they feel is safe. You know, it's not on the legacy market, or they're new to even cannabis and trying it out and have just said, hey, this works for me. But there's a lot of consumers, a whole lot more that know what good weed is, that knows what good cannabis is, and they're not happy at all. And so, and really that's those consumers you do want. You absolutely do want them. You should want them. And to be limiting yourself in such a way, I just laugh like, who taught you business? Like, who taught you business? Like, where's your teachers? Like, who did this to you? Because this is bad business. And I don't think cannabis is for you, but a lot of people are just here, like you said, like, they're just really here to make a flip. There's a lot of investors in this industry seeking to make a flip. There's no, I want to own this to really grow, some fire. That's not what they want to do. This is just an investment to make a flip. So it's sad to see the plant being abused, but this is what capitalism allows. It's what it allows. So as a community, we have to come back and say, like, how are we going to counter that? As we're watching it being abused and that abuse is impacting our communities, what is our response? And so I'm really curious to see, as consumers keep getting more educated and understanding, fire weed, and understanding what's coming out, more and more are exposed that this ain't it. I'm really curious to see the responses and how these businesses are going to respond to that, to seeing that their bottom lines are, and it's sad because we know around the roots how that story will go. There's just not a lot of consumers in Massachusetts. Like, instead of just admitting that you're a bad business person and you don't know what you was doing and you ended up screwing up an industry and influencing it in a negative manner, you just went ahead and just passed the ball off on saying, there wasn't enough consumers to really support a strong industry. No, there wasn't enough suckers to support the Walmart wheat. That's what it was, so but right now, people are are just hungry, and there's not enough weed out there. Never mind even good weed, clean weed, safe weed. So there's space, and we hope they get it right. I hope the people get it right. The plant deserves to be treated with respect, and that's just it at the end of the day.
Definitely. Well, we have a lot of work to do, and we definitely need our community's help to keep all this stuff going. So
we really do, you guys.
So we already have our Patreon live for 5, 10, and 25 for our consumers. I'm working on a grow to consume guide very soon for my $25 and $50 subscribers. And just thank you for all our Patreon supporters for sticking with us and helping us keep this work going. Without you, we literally couldn't do it. So thank you.
And absolutely, we thank you. We appreciate you. Every dollar matters. The money goes towards our lobbying efforts across the state. And it also goes towards speaking on behalf of consumers, speaking on behalf of growers, speaking on behalf of businesses, understanding that intersectionality, that sweet spot, and really and bringing that sweet spot towards our government so that they can go ahead and produce and support, the framework for a strong industry. So we appreciate you guys for all of your, every dollar makes a difference. And then I also want to highlight, we have 2 tiers, you guys, for our business owners. Y'all out here, you big pimping, we see you doing your thing, you're doing your thing, and we're here. So light us up, just light us up. Like, where you big poppy, we got $500 a month, it's an ounce, an ounce in Massachusetts is like $400. We put that black tax on it for that ounce, so we're $500 a month for announce, and that's just putting it down as a business, and that's reoccurring because this work is ongoing, and we do have something in return. And then for our $3,500 tier, you pushing pounds. You pushing pounds. Like, how many ounces every day, never mind pounds, are you pushing out here, right? And you can't put nothing towards consumer education, towards outreaching towards community. We're doing expungement clinics. We're doing like so much out here, and you've got pounds going out the door. So yeah, there needs to be a conversation of equity with these cannabis businesses, and we appreciate all of the support and understanding. So, we use our language on our Patreon to put it in perspective, because people will be like, oh my goodness, 3,500, like that's just so much. And it's just like, that's just a pound. That's just a pound. You can grow that real easy. Like, that's just a tree or two. Like, it's just a pound. It doesn't take that much to produce a pound. And we know that because we growers. So it's the funniest thing. Like, no, it's not that much. We know how much a pound is, and we know that we see the value that's been put of it, has been placed upon it in this market. And so here at MRCC, we just finished our 5K, and we was like, for everybody, this is our fundraiser. You need to run us our money. That was like our tagline, run us our money, and to really understand that for us at MRCC, we are a BIPOC, woman, queer founded, and cooperatively ran. The way that we practice equity, we don't see it being practiced anywhere across the country in this industry. That places us in a very, very special place, you guys. So in Massachusetts, I hope you can appreciate us, because we're appreciated across this country. It's amazing how much love we get from California and other states. And just seeing Massachusetts lag behind in comprehending the gift that they have with MRCC. But that's the thing, is just like, gifts are meant to be given. And MRCC, we do this work, and wherever you are across the country, you are more than welcome to support. You do not need to be Massachusetts based in order to support our initiatives. And as a business, if you come in at an ounce or a pound a month, we'll see that you chose that tier, and we're going to set up a time with you. And for us at MRCC, we like to establish relationships. So for us, relationships are important, and we like to give something in return, do a little something in return. So, shout out to all of our businesses coming in at those tiers. We appreciate you, and yeah, keep up the good work. And let's especially across, across the country, where the fire weed does exist, definitely we appreciate you and all of the work you're doing in keeping the culture alive and keeping the plant healthy and into the hands of consumers.
Definitely. All right, guys. Thank you for another episode of Around Your Roots. And we'll check you next time.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Go spark something up. Enjoy your Friday. And we'll be out here in these streets. We're rolling, So, and make sure to spread word about that social equity form that we've dropped, and, let people know what's going on out here and how much more active people need to get. Talking on Facebook isn't going to get it done, you guys. You guys got to really get serious about this if you want to see change. So we're out here. We're here for you. And yeah, let's light one up, because I'm about to right now. So I'll talk to you guys later.
Peace.